Adele, I am so excited to have you on my podcast. This year has been such a wild ride for us both.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. I've all of a sudden just got really nervous. I was just saying to you, I was like, I've not prepared anything. I'm just jumping on and just seeing what flows through today.
And I think that is the feminine energy, like, is just being able to flow, actually being able to like be and not having to prepare. And I've been in my masculine my whole life, like preparing so much. And yeah, it can feel really challenging, but I actually know you're the queen of feminine energy.
Yeah, I think I have no problem accessing my feminine. With me, it was more the masculine wound that I've had to move through, especially over the last year. But I just love everything about the feminine. It's not even about being a woman because we have the masculine and feminine inside of all of us. But I think where the feminine has been so suppressed for centuries, and how much it's not just about resting and, you know, the creativity. It's that power that we've always held within us that has been, as I said, suppressed and sort of shunned down, that a lot of us women feel like we can't tap into our feminine energy because we've just not been conditioned to do that. I feel like this year has been a massive journey in diving deeper into the divine feminine. And I really do feel like everything has brought me up to this point.
I'm excited to get into it all. Let's do a little intro on who you are.
So I'm Adele. I'm an angelic Reiki healer, and I would say that my love language is reminding you of your power, especially women. Um, I have been on such a personal journey, a spiritual journey with the angels, been spiritual since I was probably like 19. I hate saying I've been spiritual since that long, but that I think that was when I woke up to spirituality because my ex-boyfriend, his family were all mediums. So he sort of educated me on spirit guides, angels. And ever since he told me that, I was just obsessed. And I just had such a relationship with the spirit world because I was so open-minded. And it's just been such a gradual process. Like I've always been able to like communicate with orbs, angels. This was before I even knew that angelic Reiki was even a thing. I used to obviously see all the angel numbers, the signs, and all of that stuff, but it wasn't until I had an actual spiritual awakening in 2021 where I had a breakup. I was living in Canada at the time, and I would say that that was my rock bottom. But that was when I completely woke up spiritually. I know I had always had my spiritual side, but this was just something completely different where I just woke up to how the world really was. And I think the breakup that I was going through at the time made me question, well, why do we have to experience this? Like, why do we have to experience being hurt by someone that we love? Or why do we have to experience these hard times? Like, I don't get it. Like, what's the point in earth? Like, why are we here? Like, and it was like a deep part of my journey where I was just like, I guess it was like the coming back to who I really was. And then I was introduced to a book called Many Lives, Many Masters. I sort of read that, and then I was obsessed with past lives and everything like that. Um, and yeah, and then it's just sort of spiraled from there, really. It's just been such a unraveling, I
I
would
love
say.
it. Literally, you've already shared so much gold, and I'm so excited to dive more into these topics. One piece I love is that we're always like introduced to the right people at the right time, books as well. And the fact that like you had this ex-boyfriend at a young age who introduced you to spirituality, then, even like your other ex-boyfriend. I love that we've got the topic of ex-boyfriends here too, but they're such a big part of our lives. And having this, yeah, breakup be like this catalyst for change. And I truly believe that yeah, sometimes the most challenging periods of our life are actually, yeah, the biggest change makers and support us to get back into alignment with our true path and purpose. And the same with me and you. I had no idea when we met each other, probably age like 17, how much impact and influence we would have on each other's lives. Me and Adele went traveling together in 2016, not really knowing each other at all, meeting each other probably like a handful of times, mostly on drunken nights out. And literally, our journey has been wild from traveling around Asia together, going out kind of like our separate ways on our own travel journeys. But you were definitely the first person that really introduced spirituality to me. I, again, like as a child, was obsessed with magic. I was like a Harry Potter fan. But yeah, I remember you talking about like orbs and different pieces. And I was like, wow, I've never really met anyone spiritual. And I really believe that me and you were put on each other's path for a reason. And especially over the last few years, I think we've realized just how much impact and how much we've needed each other, how much support we've provided each other, and having this kind of like sisterhood and people we can like really rely on through it all. It is so challenging, like starting businesses. We've both had breakups over the last 12 months. And yeah, it has been wild, but I'm so grateful to have you in my life.
I do think we was brought in back in because obviously we didn't speak for a while. I definitely think we was brought in at the right time when we both needed each other. We was both at the very beginning stages of our business. We was both in the same time zone, with you being in New Zealand, me being in Australia. But I work with my angels daily. Like I speak to them just like I would my best friend, and I just know that they orchestrate a lot. And even when times aren't working out, so even when I was going for that breakup, I was like so annoyed with them. You know, I actually get so I ask them out. Like I'm just like, really? Like I have that sort of like relationship with them where it's like it's sometimes it's banter, sometimes it's love, sometimes it's pure like, are you serious right now? But I obviously know that there's always a meaning behind it all. I just always know that they orchestrate a lot of divine encounters.
Definitely. And some that we couldn't even imagine. I think I was definitely someone who always tried to control stuff before, and that was part of the masculine, like, I want things to work, I'm going to have to do this. But actually, when we like surrender, we realize how much the universe is already supporting us and is always supporting us. I'd love to hear how you got into angelic Reiki.
So I the way that I communicated with my angels before is through angel numbers and feathers. So I remember going through a really difficult time when I was having that breakup, and a feather just sort of floated next to me. And I just knew that I was protected. I knew that I wasn't alone, even when I felt like I've been alone, and had to navigate some really difficult situations and pull myself out of the trenches by myself. I was in a job at the time. I think I just lost my job actually. I just felt really lost, stuck. I was 27, so I just started my Saturn return. At the time, I didn't even know what a Saturn return was. I was just having an existential crisis, and as you do in your 20s, and you're like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I've just given a year and a half of my life to a job. I gave everything. It wasn't like it wasn't appreciated. I just traveled my whole 20s. So I'd spent time having fun, getting drunk, partying, meeting people, having that life. And now all of a sudden I'm at home in Essex, living back with my parents, thinking like I think naturally just comparing my life to everybody else's, you know, getting houses, having children, getting engaged, having that perfect life that you think that you should have at that age.
The conventional
And
life.
then the conventional life. And I just felt really behind. And it was quite dark. Like I had anxiety, I was depressed. I had very, very intense highs and lows. And I thought that that was normal. I thought it was normal to one day wake up and feel so grateful for life and love Earth and love being here. And I had always had that because of, I guess, my spiritual side. And I always had that connection with a higher source, and that really kept me going. But then I also had times where I was in the gutter and I was questioning everything, like the people that was around me, what I was doing with my life, this feeling of like knowing that I was meant for more, but just feeling so stuck. And I've always been into my personal development. I've always read books about the healing journey and money mindset and the universe. And I've always fed my mind with so much of that. But I just never understood why my life wasn't propelling forward. And I was sort of starting to look at other people. I always knew that I wanted to like help people and put out content, but for some reason I just had this fear of being seen, of someone from school seeing my content, or someone laughing at me, someone judging me. So that held me back for a very long time. And I always thought, oh, who am I to like sort of put content out when I feel so shit about myself? And I was feeling like a failure. That was one thing that I just carried with me. Yeah, I just feel like I need to touch upon that, because there's a lot of people that are struggling right now with that mindset, and just this feeling of just feeling stuck in, especially in your 20s. And I just want to push the message out that you're not alone in feeling like that. I definitely suffered in silence, and I felt like so misunderstood and so alone for so long, but I do think it's all part of the greater plan. But yeah, so as I said, always had this connection with my angels, and I come across this ad one day on Instagram, and it was to be attuned to angelic Reiki, and they were talking about past lives, ascended masters. By this point, I'd sort of dabbled in the Akashic records and stuff like that, so I knew all about the ascended master side of things. And I just saw it, and I was like, that's for me. And the training was in Liverpool. I'm in Essex, which is like 5 hours away. I just booked onto it. I just knew that it was for me. I couldn't make sense of it at the time. And even when I booked it, I was like, is this the right thing? And then I sort of looked at the clock and I saw 44, which is a number that I always resonate with my angels. And yeah, so I drove up to Liverpool, I got attuned, and that was just the start of everything, to be honest with you. So this is going to sound really, I don't like saying woo woo, but it's yeah. Basically, I had this out of body meditation 2 years prior to my attunement, and I basically, this is the only time I've ever done this, but I basically rose up from my body when I was in a meditative state. I think I was doing like a past life regression on YouTube or something. And then I came out of my body and I just saw this man covered in fire, and he was sort of like holding his hand up. And then I was like above him and I was like lifting him up. But then it shit me up. So I was like, whoa, what the hell was that? And I was just like in my room on my own in Canada. And I was like, what just happened? And I tried so hard to figure out what it meant. The only feeling that I got was that I was meant to help other people up. That was the only thing that I took from that. But I was trying to find out what realm he was from, like what dimension, like who was he? Was he an alien? Like I just had no idea. But then when I went to my attunement, she had angel cards on the floor around an altar, and I saw the angel. He was an archangel, like covered in fire, and his name was Archangel Uriel, and it said something like share your light with the world. And I was like, okay, I think this is my calling. I think this is what I'm supposed to do.
Oh, I love that. And I just got full body goosebumps as you were talking through that. I really feel like we are always guided towards what we're supposed to be doing. It's just having the courage to go for it and being able to actually listen to our intuition and the nudges, which I think can be hard when they don't always make sense. And our logical brain afterwards can be like, oh, am I supposed to be doing this? And can tell us all the reasons why we shouldn't. But when we do, magic literally happens. And I think that with our travel journey as well, that I didn't want to go traveling on my own at 22, but I was like, I just feel like I need to, like, this is calling me. And then we ended up meeting up lots of other people on the way as well. And honestly, everything always works out.
I know you can only connect the dots looking back. And it's funny because I wouldn't have been in Australia the second time recently unless I went the first time when I was 22. So
Definitely.
it's like that trip, it was like an explosion. Like the people that you meet, it was like everything has such a like ripple effect. And I think like I'm so grateful that I didn't settle in my 20s and I didn't have that stereotypical life. It was something that I thought that I wanted, but I'm so grateful that I spread my wings.
Definitely. And I think so many people are going to resonate with what you shared earlier about feeling this like lost, stagnant, stuck, not knowing what they want to do, or just not being able to get out of their current situation. And so many people do live this conventional lifestyle, and it works for some people. And like, there's no judgment if that's what you truly want. But actually, there's such a magic life out there, and you can have everything that you want. I'd love to hear a bit more about what changed for you after you did the angelic Reiki attunement.
So that was the first time that I'd ever had like energy healing. I didn't even really know much about Reiki or the energetic side of things. So it made sense that after I started to incorporate the energy healing aspect into my daily routine, that things actually started to progress for me because I do actually genuinely believe that you can do all this work on yourself, but you actually do need the energetic side of things as well because you need that energetic upgrade. I didn't take on clients for a good, I'm going to say like 6 months, maybe even more. I thought I was going to go into angelic Reiki and just start healing people straight away. And it was more like a money thing for me in the beginning, I'm not going to lie. But it actually ended up being something for me because it's a tool that I just always use. I can't actually imagine my life without it now, but I sort of come out of my attunement and I was like, what the hell just happened? And I felt a lot of things bubbling to the surface because at that time as well, I didn't even know that I was intuitive. I was sort of at a point in my journey where I was going to see tarot readers or going to see psychics, and I was relying on them to tell me that I was intuitive. Like I was sort of like asking them, like, "Oh, am I intuitive?" I know now that everybody is intuitive. It's
Mm-hmm.
like a muscle. The more that you work on it, the stronger it's going to be, and the more that you know yourself and you become rooted in who you are, the more you're going to trust that niggle. Because as you've just said, following your intuition, it goes against the logical. So following your intuition, you're going to sound crazy. And I think as well, especially with sensitive souls, we experience a lot of toxic behavior in the beginning phases of our journey. It's like for me, where I was in toxic relationships before, I would dream of something and I would confront this dream that I had. No, you're crazy. It's because of what you've been through in the past. And I was like, oh, like maybe I am crazy. Maybe it is all in my head. But my dreams are something that I use now to tell me what is going on in my physical reality. It's true what they say. You actually cannot fool a spiritual woman because they are so protected, supported in the spiritual world. Like they will know. They have a knowing. And I always had this knowing and it was always right, but I was always gaslit into thinking I was crazy. So I think that bubbled up when I first had my attunement because what the energy healing did is it allowed me to move this stuck, stagnant energy through. And energy is just your emotions, like stuck emotions. So I had to move that through. And they say you have to feel it to heal it. So I think a lot of that time was spent with me in solitude, just trying to make sense of it all. But then also things just started to happen, like things just started to shift. Like I'd get a job opportunity ring me up out of the blue, or I'd meet someone and then that would end up in me just moving to Australia. And then when I went to Australia, I was getting opportunities just coming to me. And this is like where you just surrender. And this is why I talk about being in your feminine and trusting your intuition makes you magnetic, because I don't force anything, I don't chase anything. All I am responsible for is my own energy and following my intuition, because that is the key to manifestation. Not ignoring that niggle that tells you I'm going to go to Peru or I'm going to go to Australia. Like you just have to like trust that what you're being guided to do, like there's a meaning behind it. And I think that only comes with really a lot of unconditioning of how, you know, how you were in childhood, the past relationships, the past friendships, the conditioning.
Definitely. I remember us voice noting last year when you were in Australia, and it was literally every time you walked out the house, you got a new opportunity. It was literally that mad. It was like magic. And this is what happens when we learn to listen to our intuition. And like you said, it's like learning to use our intuition and our feminine superpowers, but also doing this like deep healing work. And we do need to do both. Because I think in the spiritual community, like we can tend to see part of it that we want and that we like, and we're like, oh, the love, the light, the blah, blah, blah. But actually, a lot of it comes from the darkness and diving into the trauma, the experiences, the negative. I say negative, it's not, but that's just a label. But like the pieces that don't feel so good, but that is really where we do transform. And I love what you shared as well around the people. It highlights like the importance of who we do spend our time around. And actually, the more we spend time with people who we feel safe with, who we feel like we can be our true self with, and yeah, who will big up our visions. And you've so been that person for me as well. I remember us last year having our weekly mastermind calls, talking about our business. And I'd be doubting myself, and you'd be like hyping me up, reminding me of my power, is what I would say. And that's kind of what you spoke to earlier as well, is we're really taught to give our power away to other people, whether it be like doctors, teachers, coaches, psychics. And all of these people can play really important roles within our lives, but no one knows us better than ourselves. And the most powerful thing we can do is really connect deeply with ourselves and learn to trust ourselves, because we really do have so much like intelligence within us that we are able to access.
100%. And it runs so deep. Like the patriarchy benefits from us doubting ourselves, because when we question whether we're doing it right, it means that we're not questioning, well, who actually benefits from us trying to fix ourselves, because there's so much exploitation from insecure women. And I'm talking from experience. I used to be so insecure. So I would play into capitalism and consumerism and have like a 10-step skincare routine, because that's what's the narrative that's being pushed. Oh, if you know, do this, you're not going to get wrinkles, you're not going to look old. And I think there's just so much pressure on us as women. Like if we're over the age of 25 and we're not settled down, we're not married, we don't have that life, then we're almost left on the shelf. So it's like there's this pressure of us trying to figure it out, but we don't have to have it all figured out. And it's like, who is actually benefiting from us not in our power? That's what we need to ask, because I think for so long we think it's us and we take things really personal and we feel like we're not good enough because of how people have treated us or whatever else. But actually it's so much deeper than that. And I think that's what I've really learned, especially over the last year. And I think it's all about reclaiming that power wherever you can. Since becoming my own best friend and being so rooted in who I am, I just have moisturizer. I don't feed into like the fast fashion trends. So I'm saving money there. I don't drink alcohol. I don't take part in hookup culture. Like, and it's not to judge anyone who does that. I'm just saying like this is all conditioning. It's like unconscious.
And I feel like what we all are really trying to do and what we all need to do is just come back to our authentic self, like being the truest version of us. And many of us don't know that because of the conditioning, because of the consumerism. But it's like if we took all of this away, like who would we be?
Exactly. And they say that authenticity is the highest vibration, the highest frequency that literally will attract in everything. I think it's not an overnight process. It's definitely like a gradual thing of figuring out who the fuck you are. But when you get there, I think there's this sweet spot that you're just like, wow, everything's sort of paying off. And like, I'm not saying that this is easy. Like, it's far from easy. Like, lost I say lost, I didn't lose anyone, but there's people that aren't in my life that have been in my life for like 15 plus years, lifetimes even, that I don't have in my life anymore. Like my life is different now to how I used to live it. I just think there is sacrifices on this journey to be part of something different. Like for me, I couldn't work in a 9 to 5 job. I wasn't happy doing that. And I think if I had been given the house, the husband, the kids, I don't think I would have been happy.
No, me
Um,
neither. I would have been probably really bored.
yeah,
And I
I
think
think I would have been like getting like itchy feet now.
definitely. I love that piece is sometimes we do have to surrender and we have to let go. And that doesn't always feel good, but that's part of life. Like we are cyclical. We're not supposed to hold on to the same thing throughout our whole life. We have different seasons, different cycles, and it's just part of it. And if we don't let go of the things no longer serving us, like then we don't get the new things that are gonna serve us. So it is just that practice. But yeah, it can be really challenging. And I'm so excited for us that we get to be part of this change. And I just want to talk to holistic health as well. Holistic health is everything in our life affecting our health and our happiness. And we spoke about this earlier as you were talking about energy. And I think this is a piece that people don't necessarily know about. We know about physical health. Most people are looking after their physical health or know how to do it, if even if they're not. Then there's like our mental health that I think people are working on more and more, and our mindset. Then there's like connecting with our emotions, which I feel like can be a fairly new process for many of us. And I know like I still catch myself doing it sometimes, being like, I don't want to feel that way. And then having to like actually embrace it and be like, actually, no, it's okay to feel this way. Let's listen to my body and process it. And then there's this kind of like energetic piece, and everything within our lives does affect us. So, yeah, like our relationships, our career, our finances, it's all part of us. And everyone's journey is going to be completely different. And this is what I love is that some things that work for some people and other things work for other people. And sometimes it is just a bit of experimentation. So yeah, I'd love to hear. I know you shared that like Reiki has been something that has been so like game changing for you. But what would be like the tools that you have found most beneficial? And then what is something that you would maybe recommend to other people who are on this journey?
I think just understanding that everything is energy, everything that you do is an energy exchange. And it's really important to understand where you could potentially be leaking energy. Obviously, angelic Reiki is something that I'm so committed to and that has worked for me so well. But I think it's more of an elimination as well. So being mindful of what you're consuming on social media, what you're watching on Netflix, who you're spending your time with. Like if you are ambitious and you want to do well for yourself and you have these big goals and dreams like I always had, it's actually deciding like what you want and then taking out everything that doesn't serve that. So whether that be friends, family members, toxic relationships, like anything that is making you feel depleted is a sign that you need to take a look at it. So I think it's really important to constantly audit your life. I'm really selective with who's in my circle. I'm really intentional with what I'm consuming, watching. I read a lot of books, watch a lot of creators that I learn a lot from. Don't get me wrong, like I still watch Love Island and stuff like that because we're living on Earth. I use that to unwind, you know. I'm not like so strict and being like, I don't listen to Taylor Swift. I still like have a balance of things, but I think it's just really important to understand that that's an energy exchange. Like even watching people's stories, that's an energy exchange. So are you watching people that you don't really care about partying on the weekends and looking into their world? Or are you following people who you aspire to be like? Because me personally, I'll go through my Instagram every day. I'll see people in business class because that's who I follow. So that's just telling my subconscious that that's the norm. I'm very intentional with how I create my world and set myself up. But also, before all of this, I was very burnt out. I knew that I wanted to leave my 9 to 5. I knew that I wanted to have my own business. I knew what I wanted, but there was a part of me that just could not physically do it because I just felt so drained. Like I would be in bed for a good week and all I wanted to do was binge watch Netflix or doom scroll TikTok. And that was the rut that I was in. But that looking back, there was nothing wrong with me and I wasn't lazy. My nervous system was just fucking fried. Like I wasn't serving my energy. And like you said, everyone talks about the physical, no one's talking about the energetic piece. And if you want to level up, if you want more abundance, if you want more money, if you want more opportunity, you have to upgrade energetically. You have to move from fight or flight and you have to relax. This is why we talk about rest so much. Like just rest.
But not even just physical rest. This is like we also need mental rest where we switch our mind off, emotional rest where we're like spending time where we can actually like embrace our emotions, feel safe to like talk things through with other people, social rest where you're like not with people 24/7 or you're only spending time with people that like provide you rest. And there's another one as well,
Mm-hmm.
sensory rest. And I think people underlook all of these different types of rest. But yeah, so true, regulating that nervous system. We can't do anything from a state of fight or flight. Like we are meant to have that, but it's supposed to be for a very limited period. And then we're not in it any longer. And in today's society, we are in that state of like distress for so much longer than we should be. I love the word that you shared a few times there, intentional. It is just being intentional with what you spend your time and energy in and on. And also, yes, there's like big things you can do, but not underestimating the small things. Like you said, unfollowing a few people, maybe muting people, looking at your habits. What's like one habit that you can either remove or add in that's going to benefit you? Because all of these things compound over time. I know me and you know, we've been coaching and working on our businesses for, just over a year or so. But me and you have been doing this work for like 5+ years just on ourselves. And it really is the compound effect of every single thing that we've done in that period of time and in our lives before.
Definitely. 100%. And I can just recommend to people that are feeling in this rut right now, try everything. Like try energy healing, go to therapy, breath work, yoga, like whatever you feel called to do, try it, try everything. Also, like there's so much power in saying no. And I think part of the dark feminine is being the villain and being okay with being the villain. I'm okay if people want to call me a bitch because I prioritized myself and my own well-being and I said no to an event or whatever. I will always honor myself. I'm not going to turn up somewhere if I feel depleted or tired, or I'm not going to spend time with people who I don't want to spend time with. I think it's all part of the journey, setting those boundaries. You're going to be letting people down, entering your villain era. I think that is so okay.
Yeah, I don't even think it's been a villain.
Right?
I think people have villainized it. I think it's actually just us prioritizing ourselves, and that should be the norm. And yeah, people are going to get upset with it, but like that's because we're either triggering them in some way or we're mirroring something back to them. Most people who are like judging us or is unhappy with us, it's because they would judge themselves for doing that, or they're unhappy with themselves in some way. But yeah, I love that.
Yeah, so that's my biggest tips, really.
Amazing. Thank you
Um,
so much for coming on the
yeah,
podcast. I'm so excited for people to listen to this. And yeah, how can people find you or work with you?
you can follow me on Instagram, Adele.Angelic. My links are all there. I've got some things in the pipeline, so that's where I hang out most of the time. And yeah, feel free to message me on there. I love hearing from people if this resonates.
Amazing. Hope everyone has an amazing rest of your day and speak to you soon. Mwah!